Hey everyone, it's Rich Warner from the Smart Investor Models YouTube channel. Glad you could be with me again today. Today's video is an introductory video to the Wash Sale Guard app, an app that I designed to help you keep track of realized losses, losing trades from taxable accounts that can help you build a carry forward tax bank. And by doing so, you'll be able to use your losses that you take, short and or long-term losses, and build up a tax loss harvest tax bank, which can then be used to offset future capital gains, whether short or long-term. Now, I made two videos that you should check out before you actually dive into the Wash Sale Guard app. I'd highly recommend that you have a look at those two videos, and they're all about tax loss harvesting and how you can use the Wash Sale Guard app to help you save thousands of dollars potentially in tax liabilities. So at this point, I assume that you've purchased the Wash Sale Guard app. You will also get an introductory PDF, which is a summary of all the key points that I'm going to be covering in this video. Now, the Wash Sale Guard app was principally designed for use on a desktop, on a laptop, or perhaps even a tablet. Unfortunately, it's not designed for use with a cell phone. And the reason for that is to do with the nature of working with Google Sheets and spreadsheets in general. You want to be able to work with a screen that has enough width so that you can append data to the spreadsheets and update the apps as needed. So if you've purchased the app, you should have received a thank you email, and in that email is a link to download or access the Google Sheets workbook, the Wash Sale Guard app. And when you click on that link, it'll open up the Google Sheets workbook. Now, the first thing you want to do is to rename the file to make it your own. You want to make your own copy of the Wash Sale Guard app. So in the upper left corner here, adjacent or just to the right of the Google Sheets icon, if you click inside that box where the file name exists, above the main nav menu, you will see Wash Sale Guard 5.5 Master in this example. Now the 5.5 will actually change over time as I make revisions for the app. And by the way, since you've purchased the app, you do get lifelong access to the update revisions as they come out. Okay, so to make our own copy and rename the file, we should follow the following steps. The name of the file, you'll see File, scroll down to where it says Make a Copy. So we click on that, and you'll notice that Google Sheets creates a default name for you called Copy of Wash Sale Guard, in this case 5.5 Master. So you can rename this however you wish. So I'm just going to rename this as 5.5 Trader 01. And then I'm going to click on the blue button at the lower right, Make a Copy. And now Google Sheets has created your own personal copy, but we do have to authorize it first. Whenever you download a Google Sheets workbook, the first time, if you're not the original designer of that particular spreadsheet and you share that workbook or spreadsheet with someone else, as we're doing in this case, obviously, Google will ask you to authorize your version of the app. So if you follow along with me, we'll go through the authorization process. It's just a one-time authorization procedure. Once you authorize it, you don't have to bother with the authorization anymore in the future. It's just a one-time setup authorization. But first, I wanted to show you a little bit around the UI, the user interface. We've got 8 tabs at the bottom: the Start Here tab, the Authorize tab, the Alerts tab, Proxies tab, Cleaned Archive tab, an Optimal Strategy tab for tax loss harvesting. The wash sale date calculator comes built in with the app, and a few FAQs. If we head on over to Start Here, there are a couple of hyperlinks here you could use. I actually prefer to use the tabs at the bottom directly with my mouse. So on the Start Here tab, I've got a couple of introductory tips for you at the top right, and then some key points and best practices as well on the lower right. The most important tabs that you'll be using as a Wash Sale Guard app user will be the Alerts tab. This is where you're going to be entering all your tax loss harvested trades, the realized losses from taxable brokerage accounts. And if you notice in columns C, D, and E of the Alerts tab, we've got 3 potential brokerage firms in this case that you can record your losses from multiple brokers. And this is important because you may have to realize a loss in multiple accounts across brokerage firms. And the important thing is that you aggregate from each and every ticker from those respective taxable brokerage accounts. So as you can see here, in the last tax loss that was entered was on March 20th, and it was for the Q Momentum QMOM ETF, an equity ETF. We took a loss in this example of $586 in the Fidelity account. If you don't happen to have multiple accounts and you trade mainly through one brokerage firm, then you can just overtype these names of these brokers by just deleting them if you want. So we've deleted just now Fidelity and Schwab in cells D6 and E6 respectively, and we still have the IB account. If you happen to have another brokerage firm that you trade through, well then you could just overtype wherever these broker names appear, and you could type in, let's say, E-Trade, you could type in Robinhood or whatever it is, and let's say Fidelity as well. And so you could customize these cells according to your own preferences. So let me quickly show you how you would enter realized losses from a sample brokerage firm. Keep in mind that when you fill in the data, try to stick to the same formatting as it appears in the previous rows. So use the previous rows as an example, and that's why I included some sample trades here for your reference. So let's say the name of the stock was Intel. Let's say you lost $25 on it in the E-Trade account, and you lost $55 in the Robinhood account. So you'll only be updating the information in column A and B and C, D, and E if applicable, and you will not be updating any data in columns F, G, H, I, or J. That information will be automatically calculated for you by the app. So as you see, as far as this losing trade with Intel is concerned, the app says that Intel will be off limits for the duration of the wash sale window period, which is 30 days from the day of exit. And so until May 16th, which is 29 days away, we will not be able to re-enter Intel lest we disallow our capital loss that we realized in Intel on April 15th. And notice that the wash sale app automatically suggests some proxy ETFs for you. If you really want to get back into something very similar but not identical to Intel, you could choose, let's say, the SOX SMH ETFs, for example, or similar stocks like AMD, NVIDIA, and Taiwan Semiconductor, for example. And by the way, this suggested safe proxy list is very important, and it comes from the Proxies tab here, which is under the adjacent tab at the bottom here of the workbook. And as you can see, you've got quite a few proxy ETFs. The app comes with over 500 similar ETFs or stocks that you can choose as proxies should you want to jump right back into a similar type of security. Now in the Proxies tab, the difference between columns G and H is that H is actually the more selective of the two. Column G is just throwing all these ETFs or stocks at you as potential proxies. But the problem is you may have realized some losses in some of these suggested proxies that are still under the wash sale window period restriction. That's not what we need if we want to get back into a similar type of security. That's why column H is subject to more constraints in the sense that it's going to eliminate any of those ETFs or securities that are still subject to the wash sale window restriction that haven't been cleaned. Now notice in the Alerts tab that we have a few ETFs that have gone through the wash sale period and they've recently become safe to trade. In column G, you can see that there's the green highlighted background and it says safe to trade. And also the days away is going to be a negative number. It's not a positive number because it's already in the past. And so to eliminate some of the confusion and to get organized and to update this alert list, what you can do is click on the Master Controls button right here. And this is a pull down menu where you can access the macros written for this app. You can click on Run Archive Process Now, and that will organize everything and tidy everything up. So if we click on this Run Archive Process Now, it's going to say authorization required. And this is because you're running a macro function for the first time. So we have to go through the authorization process. But not to worry, it's just a few steps, and once you get it out of the way, you won't have to authorize any further in the future. So let's click on OK to authorize, and you'll notice this window pops up, and it'll say Google hasn't verified this app yet. Okay, so what you want to do at this point is click on the advanced, this small gray letters that are underlined. Click on that, and then all the way at the bottom, also in faint gray letters, you'll see go to Wash Sale Guard AppScript 1 unsafe. Don't worry about the word unsafe. It's just the way Google writes this procedure. Just click on it, and it takes you to another page that says Wash Sale Guard AppScript 1 wants to access your Google account. Okay, and you scroll down to the bottom and you click on Continue. And if you notice, it actually ran the Run Archive Process Now macro for us, and it's tidied everything up here. And lo and behold, those losing trades that were cleaned up appear under the Cleaned tab. So this Clean tab is very important because it gives you a history of all your realized losses that have undergone the wash sale period procedure, the cleanup, if you will. And it'll automatically sum things up for you. The loss carry forward for 2026 in this case, and your estimated tax savings for a particular tax bracket that you're in. But you would be amazed over time just how much money is going to build up in this carry forward loss tax bank. Okay, the next tab over is the Opt Strategy tab, and it's basically an optimal tax loss harvesting strategy grid that I created for Wash Sale Guard app users. It's really very useful because it'll recommend what you should be looking for and to look out for if you have a smaller taxable account versus a larger taxable account versus a qualified account. How would you be affected in terms of the wash sale rules? What is the optimal strategy for tax loss harvesting? For example, if you realize a loss of $1.50 in a taxable account for XYZ ETF, hypothetical ETF, it may not be worth even tracking that as a tax loss. The opportunity cost of staying out for 30 days is not really worth it in this example. It may be to your benefit, for example, to only track losses that exceed $10 or $5 or $20, depending on the size of your account and your tax bracket. But generally speaking, I would recommend that anything over $5 or $10, you should track in the Wash Sale Guard app, because you'd be surprised, especially if you're an active trader, these small losses can add up pretty quickly, and you don't want to disallow any of them if you want to minimize your tax liability to help you offset capital gains in the future. In this Opt Strategy tab, we also have an explanation as to how the tax bank works, how the carry forward losses work, and how that can potentially benefit your future capital gains situation. To the right of the Opt Strategy tab, we have the wash sale date calculator. Now this is pretty straightforward. It's going to show you the wash sale window around the date of exit. So if you got out on the 15th, for example, and you would input any date in the cell B4, the blue cell here, the app depicts the date of exit when you realize the loss, and it can show you graphically, that you would have to wait essentially until Monday the 18th to get back in to that particular security. If you wanted to go back in time to see, like for a trade that you did, let's say 2 weeks ago, let's say you got out on the 1st of April, it'll show you that the first date that you can re-enter that particular security would be on May 4th, a Monday. The next tab is a list of some frequently asked questions, FAQs, related to TLH, tax loss harvesting. I would encourage you to look it over as well. As far as entering data is concerned, you're pretty much going to be entering data in the alerts column primarily, and occasionally in the proxies column. And under the alerts column, there's sample data here for your reference. Just keep in mind that if you're adding losing trades to the alerts tab, you want to make sure that you follow the formatting from the previous rows. So I highly recommend that you don't get too creative with your formatting of the date. Stick to what the date format that's being used, and it'll prevent any sort of bugs with the macros running in the background. Okay, so the Wash Sale Guard app comes obviously with some sample data, some default trades here, which you will want to clear out, and I'm going to show you how to clear them out right now. The way you do that is you do not want to use the Google Sheets function delete rows. So what you want to do instead is to highlight all the rows you want to delete, for example, and then go to where it says Master Controls. This is a pull-down menu of all the macros inside the Wash Sale Guard app. In this case, we want to delete the selected rows. It'll prompt you and ask you if you want to do so. Say yes. And now that we've cleared out the data, you can start entering in your trades, starting with row 8. So let's say it's the 16th or so, the next day or whatever, and you took a loss in, I don't know, AGG. The loss was at Fidelity for $125, etc. So you'll be starting off with row 8 and working your way down sequentially. Now, one of the things that I'd like to share with you, I've been using this app myself for quite a while now, and I've really become accustomed to using it. And I highly recommend that you develop a habit of tracking your losses on a daily basis. And this means that you have to review your closed out positions at the end of each trading day. You could track your losses during the trading day if you'd like, and that's certainly useful in many instances. But sometimes you may forget that, gee, that trade I exited, what was it again? Or you just completely forgot that in a particular brokerage account, say Schwab or Fidelity, that you even had some losing trades. So what I would suggest is that you develop this habit of an end of day closed positions review. We want to check all the trades that we've done at the end of the day in each brokerage account. So let me show you how I do this myself. I actually use IB, Interactive Brokers, IBKR, and I also use Fidelity. I'm going to show you a snapshot from a particular group of accounts. So here's a snapshot of a page from the classic TWS Trader Workstation. What I've done is I've grouped together all the taxable brokerage accounts under one roof. And this is something that you can do in Trader Workstation. You can actually group accounts together in different categories. So you could group all your qualified accounts as such and actually trade them as a portfolio, as one big portfolio if you wanted to. But that's not what we're doing here. We're just grouping things together, not to trade across it, but to aggregate the closed out trade information. And notice that I have this configured in TWS so that we have the ticker in the leftmost column. Then we have the position size in the next column, daily P&L, unrealized, blah, 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 blah. But then the other important column is the realized P&L column. Okay, so the three columns that really matter when it comes to tracking your closed out trades for the Wash Sale Guard app are the ticker column, the position column, and the realized P&L column in the case of the Interactive Brokers Trader Workstation. So what I do is at the end of the day, I go into my aggregation of all my taxable accounts under one roof, and then I click on position to make sure that it's sorted by largest positions down to the lowest, being in this case 000. And when I see a bunch of zeros at the bottom, I realize that those are closed out trades. These are tickers, for example, BRLN, TFLO, BIL, for example. These are tickers that I had positions in during the day at one point, but then I closed them out. And that's a clue for a potential realized loss. And so we head on over to the realized P&L column, and lo and behold, BRLN was a loss of negative 137, and we have two T-flow losses here for negative $24, and then a gain in BIL for $79. Now, we can ignore the BIL gain, whether it's short or long-term gain, doesn't matter. Any gains we're not interested in. We're just interested in realized losses in taxable brokerage accounts. That's our goal. So we have essentially two tickers we have to add to our wash sale guard app. The first is BRLN, and it's for negative 137. So let's say today was the 17th, and we took a loss in BRLN, and it was the IB account in this case. So I'm going to change this to IB, and it was for negative 137. The other position was T-flow. This is a Treasury floating rate short-term bond fund, and it was for negative $48 in aggregate. And so we enter 417 again. That was today's trading date. T-flow in this example, and it was IB negative $48. Okay, so let's go back to the TWS window here again, and there are no more tickers that we have to be mindful of. So we're done with IB for this particular trading day. But next we have to deal with the taxable brokerage accounts at Fidelity. I don't have any Schwab accounts currently. I just listed that as a potential brokerage firm in the future perhaps, or just for demonstration purposes. So let's remember, it's the end of the trading day, and we have to go to our Fidelity taxable brokerage accounts and follow the same steps essentially. But it's a different platform. So it's a little different in terms of getting that information. So what we want to do is head on over to the accounts and trade, top left here. And what you want to do is click on where it says all accounts, that little button here that says all accounts. And in this example, we've blurred out the account numbers on relevant data, but you want to click on all accounts. What you don't want to do is to just click on any of the component accounts inside this list. I've got all accounts here highlighted, and then under the positions tab, under all accounts, change it from overview or dividend view, change it to closed positions. Okay, we only want the closed out positions for all of these Fidelity taxable brokerage accounts. And the third configuration setting we have to be mindful of is where it says today. This may default to a particular date or date range. And so what you want to do is click on this box and highlight the pull down. And if you pull down this menu, you want to highlight the option that says today. And this will give you all the closeout trades for that particular trading day. If you wanted to go back a few days to check and see if you missed anything on a particular day, you can easily isolate that date by clicking on a date range. But if you get into the habit, as I do on a daily basis, I have this always set to today because I review things at the end of every trading day. And if you notice, the small cheese account, for example, didn't have any closed out positions at all. There's a cash management account, didn't have any closed out trades. And then there's a big cheese account. This is a bigger account. Happened to take a loss in CLOZ, which is a CLO bond ETF. And it was a loss of $53.44. Now just be mindful when you look at this information on the trading platform that you don't take the bold red number here, 53.44. That may not be the accurate number, because what that bold number is at Fidelity is a summation of all the closed out trades. And that's going to give you incorrect data. We want to go to the specific ticker in question where we had a loss. And notice that a W appears here. That means that we've just entered a wash sale period. For CLOZ, we will enter a loss of 53.44 in the Fidelity account. Let's just double check our Fidelity account, and there seems to be no more trades that we should be mindful of. And so we're done for the day. We've recorded all the tax loss harvesting trades that we need to for this particular trading day. And CLOZ happens to be off limits until May 18th. In the interim, if we really wanted to get back into a similar type of CLO bond ETF, we could choose from JAAA, CLOA, BKLN, or JBBB, for example. Also, at the end of the day, it makes sense to run the archive process just to be sure that we've tidied everything up under the Alerts tab. I highly encourage that you get into the habit of, when you're making trades, is just to double check the wash sale alert list. If we go to cell B3 here under the Alerts tab and we type in QQQ, you'll see that a window pops up that says clear to trade. Ticker QQQ is safe to trade. This is a ticker that is not in your column B of the Alerts tab. It is safe to trade. But let's say we forgot that we just recently got out of AGG and we want to get back into it for some reason. Well, before you pull the trigger on your brokerage trading platform, whether it's in a qualified account or a taxable account, just double check AGG here and it'll say wash sale alert. Ticker AGG is currently off limits. And that's exactly what we need to know. If we were to get back into AGG within the wash sale window period, we will disallow this $125 loss that we made a few days ago. And that's not what we want to do. Obviously, we want to build up that tax loss harvesting bank so that we can use those losses to offset future gains. So don't forget to update your closed out positions at the end of the day. And before you enter any trades during the trading day, just type in the ticker in cell B3, because you'd be surprised how many losing trades accumulate here in column B under the Alerts tab. I mean, it could be like 50 securities, and you're not going to be able to make heads or tails at a glance when you quickly have to make a decision to enter or not. Just be sure to enter that ticker in cell B3 to double check to make sure that it's safe to trade this particular security. If it isn't, as is the case for AGG, just be mindful of the fact that there are alternative ETFs we could choose. In this example, there's BND, which is very similar to AGG, SCHZ, a short-term investment grade bond fund, SPAB, and BIV, for example. Now, another helpful tip for tax loss harvesting is you should turn off any automatic reinvestment programs that you have configured on any of your brokerage platforms, whether it's, taxable accounts or qualified accounts, IRAs, HSAs, SEP IRAs, what have you, 401ks. Just turn off all the automatic reinvestment programs. If you have an automatic investment program that's going on, whether it's from your direct deposits every month that's being distributed across an asset allocation or investment strategy portfolio, or if you have automatic dividend reinvesting going on, those are called DRIP programs, dividend reinvestment programs, DRIP for short. And what DRIP programs do is they automatically take any dividends that are generated by especially bond ETFs on a monthly basis. Stock ETFs and individual stocks typically pay quarterly if they pay a dividend at all. You may have it set up to, as soon as that security generates a dividend, to automatically buy more shares of it. That's not what we want if we're tax loss harvesting. Because if any of those tickers, any of those securities are off limits during the wash sale window period, and you go in and do a dividend reinvest or an automatic investment from a direct deposit program, you're going to be disallowing your realized losses, whether short or long term, from your taxable accounts. So what is this saying in effect? This is saying that if you have a direct deposit program going from your employer, let's say, for example, well, have that money go into the cash account somewhere, like a CMA account at Fidelity. And then from there, you can manually go in and say, okay, I want to buy 10% of AGG, 10% of JAAA, maybe 20% of SPY-M, what have you. Do it manually. But before you do that, just make sure you type in SPY-M in this example in cell B3 before you buy any shares of SPY-M, just to double check to see if SPY-M in this case is safe to trade. So turn off the auto investment program and turn off the automatic dividend reinvestment program. So that's pretty much it for now. I put together a troubleshooting guide, what to do if your spreadsheet gets stuck for whatever reason, how to refresh the app if you experience a memory freeze. For example, there are ways to get out of it. One of the differences between Google Sheets and Excel, Microsoft Excel, is that Google Sheets automatically saves for you. Even when closing out the program, you don't file save as or file save. It automatically closes on the way out for you. But in the PDF, the startup guide, if you will, for the Wash Sale Guard app, which comes with the app, I show you how to get out of some of these challenging situations. But running the archive process now will also help clean things up and tidy things up for you. If you should experience a memory freeze, by the way, a good thing to do is to just close out all your apps and then restart your computer. Not necessarily turn it off. Just go to the Windows icon on the taskbar and just click on where it says restart. And that'll restart and refresh all the memory in your computer. It'll clean out all the cobwebs. Now keep in mind, you can make multiple copies of your Wash Sale Guard app. You can rename it if you want, but try not to get too confused with all the different versions. I would suggest sticking to one, maybe another one. One could be a test version of the app for you, and one could be your actual Wash Sale Guard app for real trading. Keep in mind that Google Sheets does maintain version histories for you to go back to access in the past. You can go to File Open, and it actually has, in chronological order, all the different versions that you used, in this case, of the Wash Sale Guard app, but also any history of previous workbooks in Google Sheets that you've had open in the past. So once again, there is this PDF that summarizes all the points that we've covered in this video. I encourage you to take a look at it. If you have any questions, drop me a line either at smartinvestormodels.com under the contact page or directly under the videos on the Smart Investors YouTube channel. Leave a comment in the comments section. It may be a question that other Wash Sale Guard app users may have, and I'll do my best to address your questions as soon as I can. So that's all I had for now. I wish you all the best of luck with your trading, and I hope you have a good time using the Smart Investor Models Wash Sale Guard app. This is Rich Warner from Smart Investor Model. See you in the next video.